You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome in and welcome all. We are back. It's the Insight NFL Podcast. Monday, the 27th of October, and Cam Scatterbo is no more for this NFL season. It's terrible to see. Absolutely hate to see an injury like that take place. We'll get into injuries once we get into it. It is a Monday review and recovery show, kind of recapping all the games that have had so far, injury talk, and also looking ahead until next week. But kicking off with, of course, the elephant in the room, Cam Scatterbo, Secko. Yeah, absolutely hate to see it. Looked like a compound ankle fracture. You could see it kind of sticking out. His foot wasn't meant to be twisted that way. Of course, terrible to see, but how are you feeling about, this impact with Cam Scatterbo being no longer for this year?
Yeah, no, it was a wild ride. He came in all guns blazing. Sort of in week 3 was his breakout against Kansas City, which was a tough spot. He had a decent game against Dallas, but everyone was sort of saw Dallas as an easy one, but came on pretty good there, and he had a really solid month and a bit. We all said that his sort of running style might leave him more prone to injuries, but no one can predict a compound fracture. And I'm worried that this stage of the year get sort of close to impacting 2026 as well, which sucks, because you don't want those guys who you can see with a real future coming to the season underdone. Think of Javonte Williams, took him 2 years to come good. I know it's a knee, it's different, but it sucks if he's impacted like that, and his running style is one of those styles. So hopefully he's good to go next year, but it sucks to see him go.
Yeah, and it looked like he was going to be pacing for a massive game in this one too. He only had 4 touches, but had 30 yards and a touchdown through the air. But Mav, of course, we hate to see it, but your initial reactions with Cam Scatterbo going down?
Yeah, I do have a couple of spots. He's in a couple of teams, so unfortunately that's him done. But this is why you draft running backs, and plenty of them, because they in our $25 cash league, mate, he's one of 5 that I've got a premium running backs, maybe even 6 if you want to put in Vidal in there as well. But this is why you draft them. They go down pretty easily. It's a tough position to play on your body. It's brutal. So in fantasy football, you just want to have plenty of these running backs, because there's not many of them.
Yeah, they definitely are a premium currency. And Mav, when one of your wide receivers go down, mate, best believe I'll come knocking on that door to see what we get done, but that might be wishful thinking. Before we jump into tonight's show, we will be, of course, recapping all the games that have concluded to date for this week. And, of course, we'll finish off the last game with Washington versus Kansas City on tomorrow's waiver show before we get into that, looking ahead for week 9. But, gents, without further ado, let's sadly get into the injury report for week 8. So we did touch on Cam Scatterbo, but what does this mean for the Giants and in particular their running backs moving forward? Tyrone Tracy Jr., next man up. Thrown to you, Secko. Of course, Tracy Jr. won't be able to, I guess, hit the ceiling that Scatterbo had done in the initial few weeks of the year. But how do you feel about him as a potential guy to slot back in place for Scatterbo?
Yeah, he was really good last year. I was a big Tracy guy. I had him in a bunch of places last year, and I was looking forward to sort of drafting him this year. And then Scatterbo obviously, took that away. I have, of course, dropped Tyrone Tracy this morning in a dynasty league, just because I literally had no starters. And I needed LG to start, so that's how good I'm going. But anyway, might have got me the win, just that touchdown alone. But yeah, Scatterbo had a great little run there. It wasn't because necessarily he's the most amazing running back. He is very good. He invites contact, but Tracy's capable of doing at least part of that with the way Dart moves the offense and controls a bit. So, yeah, absolutely a massive pickup as they sort of have been every week. The backups who come in get the lead spot.
And moving on to the next, now an injury that we were already aware of, Lamar Jackson. We were hoping that he'd be ready to go for week 8, but he was ruled out before the game. Now 3 games missed due to that hamstring, and then also including the bye. Mav, it looks like everything's pointing towards Lamar next week, and very surprisingly, the Ravens won this game without it. Their defense looked much better. Caleb and the Bears couldn't get much going. But how do you feel about Lamar back next week? I mean, I was hoping Zay Flowers was going to be red hot this game, but he still saw 7 catches for 63 yards. But of course, when Lamar comes back, the Ravens is going to be on a massive up. So how are you feeling about week 9?
It was strange, wasn't it? I mean, he logged a full practice and all signs where he's going to be playing, and then suddenly it was just a bit of a shock that they pulled the pin on him and he wasn't going to play. So, look, it is what it is. Obviously, they're trying to prioritise a bit of caution with Lamar, and I get it. You know, with a guy that you've invested so much time and money into, I fully understand the whole purpose of just resting him for another week. For them, their season keeps on going. But yeah, it's going to be good. Look, Derrick Henry was fantastic, obviously, but Lamar's obviously the man. So yeah, hope he'll be back next week and hopefully back to dominating. Hopefully, you didn't trade him into your sides and not realise that he wasn't playing.
Yeah, he could be a big topic of discussion when we get to our Wednesday's trade show this week. Hopefully back. You know, we're not until it's all set in stone. We won't get ahead of our skis just yet, but it is pointing towards the right direction. Secko, the next injury that we do have, Quinshon Judkins, a big fan favourite. I know a lot of people traded him in this week. Looked to be a shoulder AC joint injury. He did leave the game early. The Browns are on a bye next week, so hopeful that he's back in week 10 onwards. But how are you feeling about Judkins with that injury to his shoulder?
It's never a good one. Shoulders, running backs, they get hit. Mavs sort of on it slightly, but they take a lot of wear, and so anything that's sort of shoulders where they sort of get hit first a lot of times. So they'll proceed with caution there. They may even just get the NFL to make a quick judgment on his preseason misdemeanors. But yeah, I think if I had him, if I bought him this week, it sucks because he didn't score well and got injured. But by next week was always going to be tough anyway. So maybe it's the time. He made some money this week. It might be time to get him out for SuperCoach format. But for fantasy, it sucks because he's been really, really good. For anyone who drafted him and took the punt on him getting a clean run to start the season.
Yeah, sad to see all these injuries to running backs happen. And another one took place with Saquon Barkley in his game against the New York Giants. It was going off. Honestly, to be fair, he'd already done his day in fantasy production for us, went absolutely nuclear, but left the game early with a groin. And again, the Eagles are on bye next week, so they're probably being a little bit cautious. There was reports that he was saying himself he'd be ready to go for week 10 when they verse the Packers. But again, take it with a grain of salt with how the players talk about themselves at Mav. Saquon, to you, it was good to see him finally have a big game this year.
Yeah, I mean, what's his first big game of the year, isn't it, really? So probably due, or overdue even. Let's be honest, with the position that you've taken in SuperCoach, obviously, you probably would have been one of your first picked, and in the traditional fantasy, he would have been one of your first selected. So you're waiting for this day to come around, and it finally did. So you'd be pretty happy, and hopefully that trend continues. But look, I wouldn't be too worried, to be honest with you, about this groin. We'll know more, obviously, in a couple of days or so when the injury reports finally come out and practice to start up again. But I wouldn't be too worried. It didn't sound like it was too serious.
Yeah, and you hate to see the injuries, but it is handy that it leads on to a bye. You know, he was going to miss that week anyway, so let the man heal up. A couple of late ruling outs, Drake London and Michael Penix. We had news that Michael Penix was going to be ruled out with Kirk Cousins getting the start, but Drake London kind of took people by surprise. Secko, I mean, this offense was super gross without London. We saw Bijan go just absolutely terrible, put up a big 8 points for us here. He will be in our Heartbreakers, no doubt. But Cole Pitts, again, I had to get him in there early. 9 catches for 50 odd yards. That was for you, Mav. But again, this Atlanta offense was just purely just a blimp of a week, and then we look forward to week 9. Hopefully they're back on track.
So they're pretty good. Outside of last week in San Fran and the really bad week 3 match against Panthers, where they got donated. They've been both good, and London's been good for the most part. He's obviously injured the first bit of the season as well. So he had a good little run there, but with that news, I traded him out. I told a few people on the WhatsApp, prepare. If you're not ready to wake up at 3:50 or 3:45, make the trade as if you know he's out. Because you don't want to have to be stuck with that, especially on a week with multiple bye on the bench. So Yeah, he's gone. He's gone from my side. I don't love that, but that's just how it is. And in Supercoach, that's sort of how you treat it, because he was not like he was, he had too many bad games as well. But yeah, him and Penix, they need to be there to make the offense run, because Kirk Cousins, I think that might have been his last game we saw.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he'll be getting traded anytime soon. He looked absolutely horrid. The last name that we have here, Luther Burden, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. He did sustain a concussion and did not return for the game. All likely chances are he will probably miss next week, but again, one to monitor as the week progresses. But they're all the key injuries that have taken place so far. Touch wood, nothing happens in the last game tomorrow. But yeah, we don't want to be talking about injuries anymore this week. We've already had enough for the year, being 8 weeks in. But we will get straight into our heroes segment of our Monday recap. So we'll be going through position by position, highlighting the top guys for Supercoach scoring, and kind of going through if their performance was a sham or not. So kicking off with the quarterbacks, Jordan Love, top scored with 56 points, only a low 1.2% rostered. Break even was 52 heading in, so he did hit that. Just under 20 mil, and his break even for next week should be 25. So again, could be a sneaky little pod moving forward. It was good to see Jordan Love absolutely dominate against Aaron Rodgers in a bit of a narrative game that was really built up all week. 360 yards for 3 touchdowns. He got Christian Watson back. Tucker Kraft, of course, on National Tight End Day was just an absolute beast. But yeah, so many different receivers getting involved here. Mav, did you catch this Packers game at the end? And are you buying into Jordan Love, hopefully starting to ascend as the back half of the year starts?
They just look. He looks better when he just targets and gets Tucker Kraft involved, doesn't he? I mean, Tucker Kraft's an absolute weapon of a bloke, but he generally looks good when he passes it down his throat. Let him run after the catch, because he's a big physical tight end that loves a bit of contact. So give him the ball, let him work. Outside of that, the receivers there, okay. It's been a problem for the Packers for a long time. Who's number one? Who's number two? We don't really know. Don't really care, to be fair. They pop up here and there, and there's not really a go-to as such. But I think Tucker Kraft should and is the go-to. So just get him the ball, and if they're that, I'll hand it off to Josh Jacobs. Let him work, either or.
Yeah, you don't really need to do much. I think out of 140 Tucker Kraft receiving yards, like 130 was yards after the catch. So just dump it off. I mean, either one of us could just go out there and just say, here you go, Tucker. Just do what you need to do. And the offense would be rolling. But great to see with Jordan Love back in the winner's circle. Drake May, an absolute fan favorite here. And Secko, throwing it to you. 54 points, 4.2% owned. He's been a suggestion on the pod for the previous weeks. Break even at 22 heading in this one. New break even will be 26. And he's just going to keep making money at $21.5 million. So how are you feeling about the Patriots against the Browns? Considerably a tough matchup, but he just keeps getting it done. I mean, on his legs, through the air with passing touchdowns, and they've got a late week 14 bye as well. So we've still got him for plenty of weeks before that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. He's super efficient. He got sacked 5 times, which by what's his name, Miles Garrett. Besides that, I think missed 6 passes on the day, had 3 touchdowns. He doesn't really have, Mac Hollins was his top receiver. Touchdowns to Booty and Diggs. Demario Douglas, he hasn't got much, and he uses it. He just absolutely squeezes every ounce of everything out of his receiving call. So. He's just really good. Everyone said Josh Allen was pretty average for a couple of years into the league, and then all of a sudden everyone realised how good he was, and he was just great from then on. And I feel like May's on that very similar trajectory, or he's already there, really, in my eyes. And I think the league's starting to catch on because he's doing things that not everyone can do. So, he's in my team, and about the only positive this week. He'll be there for a few weeks. We'll see what happens. And when it's time to flick across to Lamar, it'll be time to flick across, but that's probably 3 weeks away. So happy to ride him.
Yeah, super consistent over the last few weeks, and could be the Stephon Diggs effect. He helped out Josh Allen. Now he's helping out Drake May, to perform. But you absolutely love to see it. 3rd in points scored for the quarterback was Justin Herbert, absolutely producing the goods to kick off the week. Thanks to Aronde Gadsden and a couple of those other boys. 3.1% owned. Break even will be 7. Heading into next week, so he'll make a heap of cash. Jalen Hurts, and I'll get your your thoughts on this, Mav. He was a discussion on our trade talk last week with, do you wait until he performs this week and then trade him out? What do we like to do? Well, if you held on to Hurts, 50 points, 10.5% owned, and his break even will be 32, but he heads on to the bye. So Jalen Hurts for you, Mav, in week 8.
Jalen Hurts, he's I did trade him out, and he scored more points than Josh Allen. So I'm a big time loser here. But look, it's it's one of those things, I suppose. It is what it is. It had no AJ Brown, and he still dominated. So good for him.
Yeah, you just can't pick it. 4 touchdowns through the air, only 179 yards, and Dallas Goedert, of course, on National Tight End Day, got 2 of those touchdown grabs. So, yeah, you just can't pick it. But, oh, well, if you've got him and you held on, well done. You can trade him out this week while he's on bye and pick up someone pretty good there. The final name here on the list out of the top 5, Bo Nix, just keeps getting it done thanks to the glorious matchups that he had. 49 points, just over 1% owned. He'll have a even break even of 0 heading into next week, so he will make some cash to come. But a couple of honourable mentions. Tua, 48 points. Absolutely gross. Wouldn't have picked that. Under 0.5% owned. But Josh Allen, if you did hold on bringing him in this week, his break even was 68, and he only ended up with 46 points. So you'll get him at a little cheaper cost. Danny Dimes keeps reducing, of course, with 45 points. And he'll have a new low break even of 23 heading into week 8. So all in all, some pretty good quarterback top scorers. There wasn't a lot of duds, which was good to see. We had a whole heap of heroes carrying our team, but that wasn't the same for a couple of the other positions. But jumping straight in, we'll dive into running back. Jonathan Taylor, absolute beast. And I will say this up because I think I'm the only one that brought him in early on. You're kicking yourself if you miss that train because he just keeps reducing. 23% owned, break even of 36 heading into this week, and he's absolutely smashed it. He will jump to 27.3 mil. So just over 1.5 mil made, new break even of 12, 3 touchdowns again. He's just on pace to smash all the records as a running back. But Secko, throwing to you, looks like we've got you back here. You were slightly frozen, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to throw an egg on your face, but Jonathan Taylor, mate, how are you feeling as an owner that missed out on the boat as we look into week 8? He just keeps doing it.
Yeah, I froze intentionally because I knew Jonathan Taylor was coming up. I wanted to miss it. But, last week he was in my team, and then Josh Jacobs got past fit, so he went back out again. This week he was in my team, and then London went out, so I had to reverse the Genty to JT trade and get rid of London. So it's 2 weeks in a row. That's 4 mil I've missed out on by getting. I'm not getting him now. I've decided I'm done. I've got him in a couple of key spots in some fantasy leagues, so I'm going to ride that. And if he keeps going, that's great for me. If he shits the bed, it's great for me. So I'm happy to call it. You can enjoy it. Mull, you enjoy your JT. Everyone else out there, what is it? How many points did he say? 23. He'll be probably 60 after this week. They'll pay 27 mil, and he won't break 30 points again. Anyway, that's just my rant.
There you have it. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't break 30 points again. He's just too good. He's way too good. James Cook, throwing to you, Mav. Second top scorer, again, off the bye. He just looks so dominant. Only 19 carries, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't do anything through the air. Didn't need to. 67 points. His break even will be 11. Is he, and I early look into our trade show on Wednesday, but is he a potential guy you'd be looking to move in? Like if you had Barkley, for instance, is he an easy swap onto someone like James Cook?
Yeah, I mean, he keeps on producing, doesn't he? I mean, we're pretty lucky. There's probably a solid 6 to 8 players of premium running backs you could trade in any given week, depending on who's playing who, or who's got the bye or whatever. And James Cook's one of those guys in that conversation. Is capable of big games in any given week. 200 plus rushing yards in this week. That's amazing. And could do it again next week. He's capable of doing them. Again, he, generally speaking, he gets more involved in the passing game, and as you said, wasn't needed, wasn't required. It was a blowout. The damage was done early, and that was it. So. Look, he should be in contention for a trade target, but again, there's so many good running backs as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he opted with another option as well.
Yeah, moving on, we had Saquon coming in at third with 62 points. We touched on him. Hopefully he's back after the bye. Breece Hall, Secko, what an absolute mirage Breece Hall is. Talks of him being traded. The Jets win this game somehow against the Bengals, even though the Bengals aren't too good. But, I mean, the Jets have just been absolutely horrid. Aaron Glenn's probably bought himself another week as head coach, but a whopping 62 points from Breece Hall, under 5% owned. His break-even will be -4 heading into next week and just under 12 mil. How are you feeling about Breece Hall?
Yeah, I mean, good. Obviously, after that, he's been sort of bandied around as a buy target for your traditional fantasy, which sort of lends itself. I sort of correlate the two between this. Obviously to gauge if the industry is liking someone over the next period, they may be viable for SuperCoach. Now he's on buy next week, so obviously no one's going into him, but he may be a sneaky little option, given that he's only going to be around. What's that? It's about 13 mil, just under. It's not. It may be a good option. It may be a better option. Unfortunately, he's got Cleveland, New England, then Baltimore, Atlanta, Miami. So there's a pretty decent run in there. He's got New Orleans to come later. So it's definitely viable if you're looking somewhere a little bit cheaper. What was that?
Won't matter if you're a different team by then.
Oh yeah, there you go. He might be gone. This win can do wonders for him. You never know. But yeah, it was one of those things. Nick Mangold died the day of. He was a Jets legend. Those sort of things you don't really. I found it afterwards, obviously, but you don't really. It's always seemed to come through like Demaryius Thomas when he did. The Broncos were underdogs and they did it. It sort of happens time to time. So don't take much out of this. They had a lot of catch up time. They were down 15 points in the last quarter and won. So these things happen. But Breece even threw a touchdown, which he shouldn't have thrown. If you want to go back and watch that, it was horrendous. He definitely should have been picked. But Mason Taylor's just taller than the 6-foot quarterback he was on and reached over him. But yeah, this is a bit of a one out of the bag kind of situation for Breece, and I probably wouldn't get him in personally.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the Mason Taylor anytime touchdown today with national tight end, you'd be over the moon with that pass, because that was just two people double coverage back in the end zone. But hey, he's just too big there. And a couple of guys that came in at 5th on 47 points. RJ Harvey, Mav, he was a cheap option. He's at 8.1 million, new break even of -17. I think he had 2 touchdowns in this one. Might have even been 3. Yeah, 3 there. So, which is just, I mean, they absolutely dominated the Cowboys. And then also Chase Brown, of course, after I think I even shouted out on that trade show that, hey guys, he's over 5%, time to get rid of him. Double touchdown game, break even at -6 as we head into week 9. So again, you just can't pick it. But RJ Harvey for you, Mav, is he potentially a cheap option coming in with the Judkins injury? Is he maybe a little pivot? Or are you just not interested at this point of the year?
Yeah, I'd probably. I don't know what Vidal's cost is top of my head, but I'd rather go down to the Vidal bandwagon personally. He seems like. I mean, they're desperate for a running back, but I don't know why, because Vidal's actually putting up some good numbers. So I don't know why they're so desperate. But no, I think that's too expensive, to be honest with you. I mean, look, it might have been his coming out party, and maybe onto something for the remainder of the season, possibly. But also, I'm keeping it in check a little bit as well against the Cowboys defense, to be fair, as well. So it's a bit of both worlds. But I want to also give a little shout out to Joe Flacco, mate. If we're talking about rushing touchdowns, he had one today for the old fella, so good for him.
Yeah, it was a rushing touchdown day for sure, not tight end day. Hopefully next year we don't get absolutely jagged. But a couple of honourable mentions: Derrick Henry, even without Lamar, putting up 38 points, and Kamani Vidal, who Mav just mentioned, he also put up 38. So again, a couple of good options. Derrick Henry might even get a little sneaky plug on the trade show, I think, looking forward. But that was our running backs heroes of the week. Moving on to wide receivers, Troy Franklin, the top of the guys here, 47 points, under 4% owned, 6.5 mil heading into the week. Break even will be -24 moving forward, and it'll jump up to 8.25 mil. But Secko, Troy Franklin for you. I mean, he's had a couple of games here, but again, with RJ Harvey, the Dallas defense is just too exploitable. Is that just it's just a defensive game and not really looking for it to be sticky moving forward?
Yeah, I wouldn't think it's sticky. it's good for him. I remember he was quite high owned. I say probably a month ago, and then he had a really bad patch in this format and all formats. I think it's been 3 or 4 maybe single digits in a row. Oh man, one of his touchdowns today, literally there was no one within about, I'm going to say 20 yards of him in the end zone. That's how bad the Cowboys defense is. They even lost a safety. They lost their best safety, I think, who I'd never heard of. That's how good he was. But they have down to like their 4th best safety. I don't know. They just must have run the other way or both together because he was just wide open. And Bo Nix doesn't need that much room. Like he's pretty solid. So I think just against any decent sort of secondary, Troy Franklin will be held a bit more accountable. So again, he's going to be 8.2 mil. If you need to facilitate a trade somewhere else, if you need to go up to get JT, and save the money somewhere, Troy Franklin might be your guy, but I wouldn't.
Yeah. And moving on, Michael Pittman Jr. came in second, 39 points, just under 3% owned. Break even will be -6 moving forward. These guys are on bye in week 11, so you've got a couple more weeks of Pittman Jr. Jalen Waddle, 36 points, 4.5% owned. Again, he's producing as that these mid-price guys are producing the goods. I know Michael Pittman Jr. was a bit of a fan favorite. A lot of questions coming in this week if whether they pick him up or not. Ladd McConkey came in for 35 points, and he's at a higher percentage owned at 8.1%. Mav, Ladd McConkey, it just took 6 weeks for him to get online, but is he now the wide receiver 1 for the Chargers moving forward?
Yeah, I think he is. It was a slow burn for that first month of football, but again, it's. I suppose in SuperCoach you can't be as patient as you are in traditional fantasy. Again, he was going dirt cheap in traditional fantasy. If you were to move him on, you would have got nothing for him. But in SuperCoach, I understand if you want to trade off him, because again, you can't really sort of put up mediocre points and keep these guys for an extended period of time. In this format, anyway. But no, good for him. He's back in. He's back involved now in the offense. I mean, Quentin Johnston didn't even have a target, I believe, in this game. And Keenan Allen was a bit more calm. So it looks like that the reliable Ladd McConkey is here now. It looks like he's here. So against a very good defense too in the Vikings, and he made him look a bit silly. So and shout out to Michael Pittman, mate. That touchdown he had in the end zone was unbelievable. That one-handed grab. So he looks like he's pretty legitimate this year. So I think he's the top 12 wide receiver at the moment, or maybe even top 10. Again, hasn't had his bye yet, but he's really starting the ball. And the whole offense is actually starting the ball too. So Michael Pittman, again, not a bad pod if you want him. But again, he's due for his bye. I think it's week 13 or 14.
11.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up for those guys. Khalil Shakir, only 1% owned. He was 35 points at 5th. Couple of honourable mentions for the week. Jamar, a big favourite, got 30. Not too bad. You would have loved to seen him get a touchdown in that game. Roma Dunze, a lot of people held on to him. He got 29. Again, didn't hit his break even. I think he needed 50-odd, but they do have the Bengals next week, so it could be a nice little hold to get you through the buys. And Ted McMillan performed with Andy Dalton, put up 26. His best score in a few weeks, and if you held on to him, he should make you a couple or a few more million as the weeks progress there. Guys, we'll just jump straight into tight ends. Tucker Kraft was the man of the day, National Tight End Day, that is. 59 points. Absolutely cheeky, and I don't want to gloat or anything, but I was so close to not bringing him in, and I was like, I'm just going to bring him in this week. I just want to hopefully he can get a touchdown in this game, but, man, I was not expecting this absolute blow-up. 59 points for him, just under 11 million, and he will have a break-even of -15 and also pass their buy. So, I mean, if you don't have the cash for George Kittle, Tucker Kraft could be a nice, easy one to bring in. Secko, Tucker Kraft for you. I mean, we don't really need to spend too much time on it, but he's just so good.
So good. He's my guy. He's so good.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at
Secko's
that.
Guy.
There's no JSN this week, so I can't talk about JSN. I have to talk about Tucker. But no, he's just great. He's what George Kittle was 3 years ago, and he will be that for the next 3 years. So don't be surprised when he keeps doing it.
Yeah, he's a beast of a human. Dallas Goedert, only 2.2% owned, 32 points for him. Again, 2 touchdowns. Not a lot of much work besides that. Break even will be 35 moving forward. Rondé Gadsden, Mav, again, he was in this segment last week, put up 32 points. Not a lot of people picked him up, only 0.2%, but his new break-even will be minus 32, and he will jump up a massive 3 million for week 9. Is he someone that you'd be looking to get in, or do you think it's too late to jump on the Gadsden bus?
I mean, it's very hard to bring in a rookie tight end. I mean, if you have, you've either got Tyler Warren still, or you're probably holding Fannin, obviously from the start of the year, who obviously was pretty good, and he's our next one on the list, I suppose. So I'll mention him as well. So realistically, if you got Warren or Fannin, you're pretty okay at tight end, aren't you? I mean, you're going to have 2 premiums and then a rookie, I suppose, at your third position. So the only thing I could really think of is if you move on Warren for Gadsden and try and get some more cash there. But again, why would you? And Tyler Warren's a top 5 tight end in his position, and looks like he will be for the remainder of the year anyway. So I don't think he'd gain anything out of doing that. So he would be one to keep. So Gadsden will probably have a low ownership because of the fact that we've got some good rookie tight ends and not enough tight end positions in this format. So, but yeah, look, dirt cheap. He did all his damage in the first half and then didn't do much in the second. I think he had a catch in the second half, but again, dominated in that first half and got on the board early.
One that caught me by surprise. I thought it was just a couple of weeks, but man, he just keeps reducing. Looks so good there. Could really emerge as the team's second target there. George Kittle, 24 points, of course, on the holiday, a touchdown guarantee. If only myself wasn't so greedy and tried to add a whole other heap of tight ends to go with it. He was just a lock. George Kittle, 24 points. His break-even will be 41. Secko, just an early look into next week. Is he someone that you're looking to bring in, or do you want him to maybe play another one and maybe gamble that cash to see if he can come back down a little more, or how are you playing the George Kittle moves?
Yeah, I really think you want him. Yeah, in my opinion, I think unless you're holding McBride and Kraft or maybe Bowers, I'm slightly different on the Taiwan thing. He's done a great job. He's made a lot of money. He's got to buy in a few weeks. You could probably go him too. A Tucker Kraft or up to George Kittle. You probably don't have to do it straight away though. You can wait till he's by because Mav was right. He's performed. He's doing really well. But yeah, Tucker, George Kittle's he's the perfect guy for this format because he when they're rolling, he gets a lot of catches and he makes a lot of things happen, gets extra yards with his legs and he scores. So unfortunately, time will tell, but I held him right through his injury, which I wasn't very happy about at the time. But now that he's back and scoring, hopefully there's bigger and brighter things to come for my SuperCoach team. But I mean, you can get him. You can wait a couple of weeks. He also does have a bye later on as well. Don't forget. So you'll want a playable, tight end 3 in your slot there.
Hopefully Brock Purdy back next week too for George Kittle. It's been the Mac Jones show for the last few weeks while Purdy's getting back on with all those injuries he's been dealing with. Last but definitely not least, a little honourable mention here for tight ends. Cole Pitts putting up 20. So again, you just can't pick it. But Kirk Cousins loves some Cole Pitts. That'll probably be his best game of the year. Kickers, Chris Boswell, massive 40 points to headline this one, 6.9%. Very nice ownership there. Chase McLaughlin, 34% for the Bucks. 34 points rather, 2.4% owned. Cameron Dicker, 30 points, 6.8%. So again, a couple of the handy names of Boswell and Dicker producing the goods for their high percent owned. Tyler Loop, if you held on to him through the bye, 26. He beat his break even, and also Borogalis from the Patriots as well, putting up 26, which was good if you head on to him as well. But defenses, I'll just blitz through these. Tampa Bay Bucks, 52 points against the Saints. The Saints also swapped Spencer Rattler for Tyler Shuck halfway through this game, but for them to put up 52 points, that is ridiculous and under 1% owned. We won't see that again. The Bills coming off the bye absolutely slapped Andy Dalton and the Panthers. I had Andy Dalton in a traditional league where quarterbacks lose a point for a sack. I think Dalton was on like minus 5 points for me this week. So yeah, thanks for that one, Dalton. And Patriots, if a lot of people held on to them, 22 points, 35.9% owned. They just keep making money. So if you had them early on, well done. You're very happy with that. Again, don't need to spend too much time on kickers and defenses. We can just jump straight into the Heartbreakers here. The biggest disappointments of week 8, and there was a lot. We'll also add into this segment we'll ask, Secko or Mav here how they're feeling, a bit of a panic meter on 1 to 10 on whether if this performance was just, again, a blimp in the radar, we don't expect it to continue, or if we are definitely considering moving these guys on and getting rid of them in terms of SuperCoach. But quarterbacks here, not too many flops for week 8. Again, we were blessed with a lot of high-performing quarterbacks in this one. But Baker Mayfield only putting up 8 points, didn't really need to do too much against the Saints. They couldn't do anything. Break even of 67 heading into the week. It will now be 78 as they head on to their bye. Not a lot of people own him at 3.3%, but Dak Prescott at 4.5%, 17 points. And I'll throw it to you, Mav, as the Cowboys fan here. He will have a new break even of 61. I think their bye is week 10. So again, only one more week to go. But Dak Prescott, I mean, he's been so good. He's got all his weapons back against a tough defense in the Broncos. Was this just a tough defensive matchup, or are you starting to panic for Dak Prescott after his bye?
No, I'm not too worried, to be honest with you. It was just pure matchup on the road against the Broncos. They're a good defensive squad, and they're probably even better at home. So that's probably one of the toughest games you can play, I reckon, all year is the Broncos away. You get the home ground advantage and the crowd noise in your ear, and then obviously the defense in itself speaks for itself. So, look, not too worried. I'd probably give Dak probably about a 3 or a 4 if I had to put a panic meter onto it. They got the Cardinals next week, so and I believe it's a home game too, so you probably expect them to bounce back and probably score 30 plus on the Cardinals next week. And then probably after week 10, or when we hit week 10, you can probably ship them off for a Lamar or a Josh or a Mahomes or even a Drake May would be in consideration at this point. So, you could, I think you wait to week 10 and then move him on. But I'm not too worried, mate. It was just a really tough matchup, and you're going to find that against Broncos all year, really.
Yeah, Javonte Williams took 2 of the touchdowns on the ground as well. So if that 2 touchdowns went to Dak, it'd be a different story. Another one here that I'll ask for your thoughts, Secko. Caleb Williams, he was a nice little pod suggestion for us a couple of weeks ago. Hasn't panned out the way that we wanted to. Again, last week against the Saints, pardon me, they just didn't need him. It was the running backs that got the job done. In this game, he didn't look too good. The Baltimore defense definitely looked better after the bye. He put up 24 points, only 2% owns. His break even will be 60 heading into week 9. What were your thoughts on Caleb in this game? And if you had to rate how panicked you were out of 10 moving forward?
Yeah, look, I thought this run would be really good period for him, and for SuperCoach making money. And then you're just sort of getting you through to, my idea was like Lamar. So Lamar would be back. He'd lose a bit of cash because his break even was so high with the injury game. You can sort of get Caleb for last week, this week, and next week, and then go straight into Lamar. And essentially with I was picturing a sort of $4 or $5 million, benefit to you there to your bottom line. But you said you're right. The Saints game. By the way, if your quarterbacks are playing the Saints, it's not a fantasy bonanza anymore. We thought all year that it was going to be just like this, easy defense, do all the work in the first half, put up heaps of points, and no one's really done it. No one's really. Drake May did all right a few weeks ago, and I think Dart came on. It was his first sort of decent game, I think. But even sort of Josh Allen didn't murder them, and that's it's not really what we thought it was. But back to sort of this week, and again, he sort of just didn't really seem to feel great. The Ravens sort of had their best performance as well, so it wasn't like every other quarterback. So, long story short, panic meter is high. It's 9 or a 10 for Caleb, because you just can't. Ben Johnson looks like he's all in on the run now as well. They're getting multiple guys involved. Even when they were down, it sort of looks like they were even from the neutral game script sort of side. They still skewed to the run, and even when they were down a bit, they ran it more than they normally would. It was a bit of a strange one. Monongai 7 carries and Swift 11. It's a bit gross to trust him, and his receivers are. Outside of Rome, like DJ Moore's probably going to get traded. He doesn't seem to care. Luther Burden was out. Loveland's not it. I sort of had hope for him as well. But it's just I don't know. It's not great vibes since the bye. That's for sure.
Could be a bounce back next week. They do have the Bengals, and if Justin Fields and the lack of talent that they had there on that roster can do it, could be a chance for Caleb. So we'll have to wait and see with that.
What if he doesn't, though? What if he doesn't? What is it for his career, even? Like, I know it's early days, but if he doesn't beat up on that team after every single person, including Justin Fields, has, I'm worried. Very worried.
Yeah, I think panic meter could be at maximum if he doesn't do well against the Bengals next week.
Yeah.
Another name that we have here, and Mav, I'll throw to you, Cam Ward, high percentage owned, still just under 21%. His break-even was 10 heading into this game. New break-even will be 2. Put up 26 points. So, again, like, it's hard putting him in a heartbreakers segment here. But if you had him on your bench, he definitely scored you more than your favorite that we were rolling with for this week. Hopefully he's dried out and ready to go for the next. But Cam Ward moving forward, again, this is just a lost season for the Titans. Are you looking to cash out, or while he's break-even slow, are you just looking to ride the wave?
I'm looking to cash out. I'll be looking at the old wet sock this week. He's on the line. You ready to go? No.
Must have been dry in Minnesota.
He's just getting cranked out as we speak. Look, Cam Ward. I was watching bits and pieces of this game. He looked okay in spurts. He really did. And then there were some spurts where he missed easy passes. There was one in particular that was to Emmanuel. I think it was like the second or third quarter. He had him it was a 30 or 40 yard gain there. He had space and he just missed. He overthrew him by about 5 or 10 yards. Actually, wasn't even close. And it's just that sort of stuff. I know it's rookie pains, and I get all that, but that's also very elementary. That pass, there was no pressure. It was just stand and deliver, and he did fail. So look, I would be you trade it out wherever possible, but he's going to have a low break even again next week after that 26-point game. So you're probably going to make more money off him over the next couple of weeks anyway. So I mean, it's hard, and we'll see over the next coming few days if it's wet sock time, if he's back, because you can make some cash there with a low break even. So we'll see.
Running backs, and we did have a couple of big heartbreakers here from the top. Bijan Robinson, 8 points against a Dolphins defense where on paper just looked like a platter. It looked like it was just served up nicely. Judkins had 3 touchdowns against them last week, but he just couldn't do anything with Kirk Cousins stepping in at home as well at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which was surprising that they just got absolutely boat raced against the Dolphins. But 47.5% rostered. His new break-even will be 79 moving on to next week. Of course, the Falcons are finished their bye, so we don't have to worry about that. But Secko, to you, are you worried about Bijan? I know there was a lot of people were throwing out, how disappointed they were, but he's human. This is why we have quarterbacks in the flex spots, because running backs are too volatile like this. So how do you feel about Bijan moving forward? And if you had to rate him on a panic meter out of 10?
He was 0 on the panic meter. Like, you can't. Every player, and that's why I'm certain that Jonathan Taylor at some point is going to have a game. Every player does it. You can't. Some people have tinfoil hats on about it on the socials at the moment. Trying to explain it away that way. It just happens. He had 9 carries at 25 yards and he had 3 catches. Weird. Kirk Cousins' game in general was weird, but you can't read anything into it. He's past his bye. He's a bona fide. He was sort of the week before, and the week before, a couple weeks before that, even. He can just score massive, and you're not getting rid of him. I'll just chalk it up as a bad day for everyone who was wearing a Falcons jersey, it seems, and move on. But panic meter, absolutely 0, minus if I can get there.
Bad day for everybody wearing a Falcons jersey except Kyle Pitts, but I will just leave that there.
Kyle Pitts. Sorry, that's right.
And that in turn with Bijan having a horrid week, probably the second best running back, or even tied with first against Bijan. CMC, 16 points, over 40% owned. His break even will be a lot more tolerable at 41 from next week. How do you feel about CMC? I mean, that Texans defense is just no joke. Like, they are just so talented on that side of the ball. Mac Jones again under center. Hopefully, we've got Brock Purdy next week, and the offense can be firing on all cylinders. But is it the same thing for you with Secko and Bijan? You're not worried about CMC just chalking it up as a bad game and looking to move on?
Yeah, I mean, the Texans are pretty much ranked top 5 in every category, defensive category possible at the moment. So they're balling. They just need CJ Stroud to come to the party and the offense to come to the party. But no, I'm not too worried about CMC, mate. It was just, I guess, one of those games where it's just matchup dependent, and unfortunately didn't go his way. Again, you never look to trade out a guy like CMC unless they get injured, and he's not injured. So what's the point? So my panic meetup would be -69.
Nice. That's very nice from you, Mav. Can always count on you to produce the goods there. But yeah, I'm the same. It may be even lower, but you can't go lower than that because it's just such a nice number. Yeah. Cam Scatterbo, another miserable outing, but of course that was due to the miserable injury that took place. Absolutely hate to see it. He still put up 18 points and he only, had limited touches. So he will be out for the year. A lot of trade out options that we will have on Wednesday. Quinshon Judkins, 6 points, again with that injury. It was a tough matchup against the Patriots run defense anyhow. So again, not too panicked there. We'll have to wait and see how we look in when they come back after the bye in week 10. Trevion Henderson, 11 points. He got a lot of touches in this one. I thought it might have been looking okay, but again, he didn't hit his break even. His break even will be 14. Secko at this point, under 40% owned. Are you just holding on to Henderson and hoping he has a game? Or, I feel like I know for me, I've got him on the roster. It feels like a bit of a luxury trade. I don't really need to move him at this point. He's more so of a placeholder.
Yeah, 100%. You can't get anything off him. That's the problem with it at the moment, is that he's $5 million. He's under $5 million now. So trading him, you're just taking a loss. There's no real rookies that are going to make money that you want to go to that are cheaper. He actually started for me this week because I had Genty and Gibbs. Because I did undo the Genty trade, and you think 75 yards. You think he might get a few catches in there as well, and might end up on sort of 20 odd. And again, he can't. He has 11 because he had a fumble and I think he had 2 fumbles. So, the poor boy can't get out of his own way. But I'm just going to hold him. He's going to sit in my RB6 for the rest of the year. If he comes good eventually, if Stevenson goes away, he might actually be someone who's startable in a pinch rather than having to use your last trade to go. CMC to someone. You might be able to put Henderson in and use last trade elsewhere to cover another injury that's going to happen in round 17 or week 17. So that's just how he may be a helpful guy right at the end, as some rookies, including Bucky Irving last year, showed they didn't come good until around week 10, week 11. So it can happen.
And the last name we have on this list here, Josh Jacobs, 23 points, under 9% owned. Break even will be 59. As we move on to the week. And again, in this game, you can just nail it down to the Steelers are a tough run defense, and it was just the Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft combo. They didn't really need Josh Jacobs. He still got in there with a score, which again, you're very thankful for if you do have Josh Jacobs, but he can score nearly every week, and we'll hope to look for some more scores moving forward. They've got the Panthers and then the Eagles. Hopefully he can bounce back in those spots, but there are the running backs in our Heartbreakers segment for week 8. Moving on to wide receivers and throwing to you, Mav. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, again, similar to Dak Prescott. Tough matchup against the Broncos. CeeDee Lamb, 21 points. George Pickens, 22. CeeDee Lamb, break even next week, will be 31. So again, very achievable. For George Pickens, it will be up to 56. How are you feeling about these two combos? Is there one that you're definitely looking to move on as we look to week 9?
Well, I mean, it's very tough, isn't it? I mean, Pickens will have to go, if you're holding on to him, he'll have to go, if you keep him for another week, he has to go week 10 because that's when they have the bye. So he'll have to go week 10. So, no point trading him out now. You must hold him for another week, although he's going to lose your money. So, take that for what it is. You can get off him now. It's no big deal, but it depends on your team setup and what you need to trade out first if you can. And CeeDee Lamb, man, I was very close to trading him in this week, to be honest with you. And I didn't, only because I was scared about the bye coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'll probably look to trade in CD Lamb in week 11. Is probably when I'll hold off and wait. But again, he had a touchdown. Well, he didn't have a touchdown, but he had a really nice potential touchdown. But he was 1 foot out. It was close, but he really is going to be a superstar for the second half of the year. I reckon once off that bye week, he'll be a must-have. I reckon, and from week 11 onwards, he'll be a must-have. So just hold the horses a little bit.
Yeah, he'll be probably the easiest trade you can make in week 11, and probably thankful for those that are holding on or holding without bringing CD Lamb in. Without that touchdown, his price is going to be very manageable. Won't really go up in cost over the next couple of weeks unless he goes absolutely nuclear. But not really too panicked on either of those receivers again. But yeah, as Mav mentioned, George Pickens, he will lose a bit of cash. So again, if you do have the luxury trade, you could probably move him out early before the bye. Secko, to you, Emeka Egbuka, their last game for the Bucks before their bye next week. Over 54% owned, 10 points. His break-even still, it's going to be a very achievable 38 when they come off the bye. Are you worried about Egbuka at all? I know in this game, again, the Saints just didn't really put up a fight in this one. So is that really what we can pin it down to in week 8?
Yeah, I'm not worried. He's the only receiver they've got. Mayfield had an absolute shocker. Like, I watched a lot of it. His throws, he was just off. Yeah, as I sort of said, similar to CMC and Robinson, Baker had one of those days. He just wasn't. I don't know. He just wasn't there. It sort of didn't have to be, and he clearly wanted to manage the game somewhat to make sure there was no chance of them being in the game, because he even said in the press conference that he hates the Saints more than anyone else, and he just wanted to get in there and out of there and not really get himself hurt or any more of his receivers hurt, I think, as well. But 9 targets. Igbuka's clear so far and away better than Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson and Sterling Shepard and all they've got. So, yeah, if you kept him over his non-injury last week, whenever a lot of people traded him out and he wasn't actually out, I think you just hold him. You've got a potential gift hit there at wide receiver 7, because he's a guy who can seriously come in any injury in any week. You can happily put him in, I think, and as well as buy coverage for if you did get Lamb or you'd get Rice or who's the other guy on buy that week? Someone. If you've got a couple of those week 10 guys, you can put Egbuka into cover, and I think you'd be very comfortable any given week. Obviously, by this week, so he goes to the bench, but after that, he should be pretty good with next week's rest of his hamstring or whatever he got injured. Hamstring.
Yeah, no panic whatsoever with Egbuka, and he could just keep making cash even after the bye. So it'd be a nice little gift there, like you said, Secko. Zay Flowers, under 13% owned, 20 points. Good to see him getting some work done even without Lamar. Could be brighter days ahead. And he's only at 10.34 million. It's also a pretty cheap mid-price guy. Break-even will be 23 next week. Mav, is Zay Flowers on your radar at all?
No, and never mention that name to me ever again. I still have some wounds from Zay Flowers, and they won't be mended anytime soon. But probably until the day he retires, to be honest with you. So no, he'll never ever be in one of my SuperCoach teams or traditional fantasy teams ever again. He loves a Houdini act, mate, and that's not what we're about at our football team. So we've got enough of those guys already, so we don't want to add another one.
Yeah, I'm going to act as if I didn't know the answer to that question before I asked you there. Not a Zay Flowers guy for Mav. The last heartbreaker here on our list, and really, again, not a lot of people probably should have him, but Keon Coleman, 9 points, 7.4% rostered. His break-even will be 24. They just don't really need him. He just doesn't really have it. I don't think I'd be surprised if the Bills didn't trade somebody in. I also think in this game, Dalton Kincaid, who we'll talk about in the tight ends, he'll still come back from injury. Didn't really play that many snaps in this one, but Keon Coleman just, not too happy with how he's been the first couple of years with the Bills. And also that we had here, Drake London and Nico Collins were late rule-outs for this week, so we didn't have them in the wide receivers for week 8. Tight ends, Tyler Warren, Secko. Again, we were talking about this one just previously, just under 58%. His break-even will be 22. He only scored you 14 points again, he's made so much cash since coming in. But how are you feeling about Tyler Warren? Is it time to move on now, or what's kind of your early thoughts on this?
Well, there's a fair chance he's going to be traded out this week by me, and it's not because of anything he's done wrong, and he can definitely be held until he's by. He's been performing, but I can see myself. Like there's a couple of guys I want, and I've got George, and I want Tucker Craft or George Kittle. Being my guy, Tucker Craft, I've wanted him a long time. I thought I might be able to get another week without him making money. Because I always had Warren to Craft as my option to go to, and this is sort of I might have missed the boat, and I'm annoyed that you did, Mull, because I might have missed it. But there's a chance I do that, but he has to go the next 3 weeks or 2 weeks. It is anyway. So the panic meter's not really high on him. It's just he's probably it's the first time his break even's been higher than 6 on the season. He's probably going to lose money, which is fine, but you don't want to if he has another 14 points and loses $500,000, his break even will be, in the 30s. It's a money game at the end of the day. If you can go to him to Kraft now rather than after another week, Kraft makes $1 million and Tyler loses $500,000. It's just a 1.5 you could use. It's a money game. He's done a great job. He's made what, 7.5? Was it 8 million? Something like that. Or maybe even more than that. Yeah, I think he started just under 4 million. So he's been phenomenal. He's been great. But I'm happy to move on from him if I have to.
Time to cash in for the max value before he loses cash. Could be a lot of thoughts that are running through managers' heads this week. Colston Loveland, I just have to big egg on my face. I thought they really were going to be able to do something against the Ravens. With that, Lamar, I was less optimistic, but even still, they just couldn't really get anything working. He scored 10 points. His break-even was 10, so he did hit that. His new break-even will be 1. So, again, could be still a little cheap option if you do believe. But after this outing and the opportunity that he had against him, I won't be jumping in on that boat anytime soon. Dalton Kincaid, mentioned him coming off of injury, 5 points, under 8%. We'll have a break-even of 22 moving forward. TJ Hawkinson, Mav, for you, I think you might have had him in to kick things off to start the season. I know that feels like forever ago. 8 weeks to be exact, but 7 points just looks like, it doesn't look like the man that he was before his big knee injury. Break even will be 18 moving forward, just under 5% owned. Is it just time to just be completely done with TJ Hawkinson? I mean, probably should have been done a few weeks ago, but how are you feeling looking ahead?
Was it this week that he had that touchdown that was taken off him? Was it the week before? I can't remember, but
last week.
Last week, yeah. Anyway, that's probably irrelevant, but look, he's just been shit, to be honest. There's not much really else to it. Poor QB play hasn't helped out the play there. I mean, same with Justin Jefferson too. I don't think he's had a receiving touchdown, or maybe he's had one all year, which is just absurd for a guy of his talent. And same with Hawkinson, I suppose. He's been shit. The QB play has been shit for the most part. So that's not great. But no, I mean, look, he should have been gone in week 2 or week 3. So if you're still holding him, then he definitely has to go. And then that's 4.8% of his out there. So if you're still holding him, he's got to go. And he's at $7.6 million. There's not much you can really do with that at the moment anyway. So.
And then, very similar with Mark Andrews as well. 9 points, under 4%. He will drop to $8.5 million after this week. And just with they had Snoop Huntley, no Lamar, and also Isaiah Likely getting more worked into it. Just steer clear of Mark Andrews cash out before he loses you too much money. Kickers, Secko, we'll throw this to you. Brendan Aubrey was a bit of a disappointment in this one, only put up 12 points. His break even was 13. So again, not really going to lose you too much cash. I shouldn't need to say this, but is he someone that you're looking to trade out moving forward? Or Brendan Aubrey, he's a primo. Just hold him until he's buy at the latest.
Just hold to the buy. If you've got someone else who's start worthy, you can just put them in for the week and just hold this guy because he's capable of kicking long ones. It is a bit of an advantage than others because the Cowboys will actually choose to go for the field goal if they're sort of in that, high 50s and late 60s. Other teams just can't afford to go for it because it's such a low percentage. So he does get an advantage, but it's just like, it's $11 million you could be putting elsewhere. I don't love it. He doesn't have enough of a competitive advantage to have him. But yeah, you're sticking now. It's week 8. You trades are getting to a premium now.
And in turn, Joey Sly, 4 points. He is only 2.6% roster owned, but he's just under 12 million cost. So again, cash out now while you can. Only scoring 4 points is pretty dismal. But defense is here. Mav, we don't really need to spend too much time, but we've got a few names on this list. 49ers, they've only put up 4 points, under 4.5 million. Again, we don't really like using too many trades on defenses, but would these guys be a clear trade out for you?
Mate, I've held them for the whole year to this point, and I still can't get more than 5 points out of them. So, sure. Yeah, I suppose. But again, my team's got far too many holes to worry about defenses, and hopefully they can finally turn up and score more than 10 points in a game would be nice. Defenses, mate. I suppose you just got to get a bit lucky to have a big week one week. That's really all there is to it with defenses. They just haven't had any takeaways, or they haven't really held anyone to really low scores. So, unfortunately, that's the beauty about defensive scores, is they just don't generate any takeaways.
It's hard to pick, and it's even harder to talk about defenses, but we'll quickly just skim through these last ones. The Vikings are whopping 10.4 million, and they put up a massive donut, 10.6% owned. Again, big trade out, you'd think. The Ravens, I was looking at bringing those guys in, but without Lamar, I wasn't too sure with how that game would kind of look. But 8 points, 3.6 million. They didn't hit their break even, so they will probably come down in cost. Or Secko is 3.6. Is that the bar? Do they not go any lower than that?
At the bottom. I can't go any lower. So 3.6 they'll be stuck at for next week if you want to go there, because they looked a lot better.
Yeah, I think that'll be, for me, Cardinals to Ravens next week, save a couple of million. And then the Panthers, if you have them, please get rid of them. 8.2% owned. They put up -4 points. With Andy Dalton under center, they just look absolutely horrid. The defense has to be in the game for the majority of it, because, he just, the old Red Rocket, is just taking sacks for fun in this one. But they are our heartbreakers to close out week 8. We will touch on a couple of guys after tomorrow's final game in the Chiefs versus the Commanders. But Mav, do you have any guys in tomorrow's game that you're keen on, or you couldn't really care about it? If not, how are you feeling about this one? Do you think it'll just be the Mahomes show? Is there any hope in the Commanders receivers? I know Terry and Debo are back on deck, and then also Bill, Krosky, Merritt, a tough matchup. But how are you feeling about this one as we close out week 8?
Yeah, I mean, for myself personally, pretty much all my matchups are done, so I don't really need to worry about much in tomorrow's game, which is always a good thing to go into, knowing that you've either won or lost your matchups. And in my case, I've majority of them won, so it's positive. But look, I think it should be a pretty fun game. I mean, the Commanders are now nearly fully healthy. They got McLaurin and Debo back into the lineup, but they got Mariota at quarterback, so they're nearly there. And then on the other end, the Chiefs with Rice in there as well is always a big positive. That should be fun to watch and see what they can do. I actually traded in Rice in my team this week, to be honest with you. I know they got their bye coming up, so there was no one else to trade in. I traded at Nico Collins. He had to go. He's only averaging 20 points a game in this format, so someone had to go, and it was Nico Collins. And I just thought I'd roll the dice on Rashid, and maybe I went early, maybe I went late. Who knows? But we'll soon find out.
Yeah, going to be a polarizing one in prime time. I know it's still National Tight End Day, technically, but again, you have to gamble responsibly. But I just think Kelsey is just the freest leg tomorrow. Prime time, close that National Tight End Day. Secko, how are you feeling about this game? Any real impact that you have it seeing, as we progress?
Yeah, I also bought Rice in, so I'm keen to watch him. He's in a couple of my teams as well. I've held him throughout. Yeah, look, Bill Krosky Merritt, it's a tough matchup, so I'm keen to actually watch him. How much work he gets, it's more so about his share at the moment and any passing work to maximise his value. So keen to watch Bill, and I mean, Kelsey probably will get a touchdown. They're probably due to give him some work. He's been pretty pathetic. if I'm being honest.
I think you just have to watch out. If you see Taylor Swift's up there in the stands, I think you can probably pencil him in for a big day. I know Mav, he's a big Swiftie, so he'd be looking to perform as well. But guys, early trade candidates. I know we'll give a little teaser for our Wednesday show, but Mav, any key guys that you can see for week 9 that you want to move on or even move in? You know, your top 1 or 2 that you've got on the tip of your tongue.
There's probably not really anyone in particular. It was a bit of a weird week in fantasy football for the most part. As you said at the start of the show, a lot of rushing touchdowns and not a lot of receiving touchdowns. So there's probably no one there that really sticks out like a sore thumb to me for bringing in. But again, trading out, there's always going to be a few. Ashton Genty would be another one if you've had on him this long. Judkins, like there's guys there that hold some value money wise that you can always move on for to upgrade somewhere else. I mean, Vidal would probably be one that I'd be looking at for a downgrade target, to be honest with you. Make some money in Vidal because I think he's really sort of he's got the backfield now, and again, I'd be shocked if they made a big time trade because Vidal was balling, man. I think there's money there to be made, and Vidal should come in, and we can upgrade somewhere else.
Yeah, I think Joe Alt was that main piece for the Chargers to get those guys back on track there. Secko, same question to you. Early trade in, trade out targets. Give the people a little teaser for our Wednesday night trade show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you've still got George Pickens. I think he was the biggest one from our Heartbreakers. That it's great. He's done a really great job. The fact that he's still 18 mil, and he's performed equally as well as Lamb for the 2 games. But with the bye coming up, I think you want to prioritize Lamb after the bye. So he's one that can definitely go. Genty, it's a great call. If you've still got him, he can go. I really love that Vidal call because he's still going to make a lot of money until Hampton gets back because he's established himself. They're not going to trade anyone in now. They've seen that they've got a guy. It's only not going to trade a guy in for 5 games. Like there's no point. He's doing well enough. The other one is Jalen Hurts. He goes on bye. So anyone's got Jalen Hurts? I don't think we brought him up because he performed well. We didn't talk about him, but he's a little bit of a teaser for Wednesday. He'll be spoken about.
Yeah, he'll definitely be gone on my team, and Matthew Golden as well. Thanks for coming. You'll be at the front door in a real hurry. But guys, thanks heaps. That is our review and recovery for week 8 as we close this out. Guys, thanks heaps for all the comments. If you do have any questions that you want to throw in, please throw them on the YouTube comment section. We'll be able to get through them before our show tomorrow, which will be our waiver show for traditional fantasy back here at the same time as per usual, 7:30 AEDT. Yeah, we'll have a whole heap of options to get through on the waivers. It's gonna, looking forward to it. Hopefully tomorrow is going to be a goodie to close out the week. But guys, thanks heaps. That's us here at the Insight NFL show. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Cheers.
Goodbye.